I'm Oli Barrett, and over the next few weeks, I'm going to be travelling to meet the chief execs of some of the UK's most successful listed companies. I'm going to find out what drives them, about the challenges they've faced and what they've learned, and most of all, about the impact that they want to have on the world around them. Welcome to the Ambition Nation Listed 50. Today I'm speaking to Mark Bartlett, the Chief Executive of Strix. Mark, hello, thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you, Oli.
Now, I say joining me, you're actually, I think, in the Isle of Man.
That's right, it's our head office here on the Isle of Man.
Yeah, now, Mark Bartlett, Chief Exec of Strix. I think the clues are in your image already for the viewer to be picking up, but why not remind us about the business that you're in?
So yeah, Strix is actually the global leader in the design, manufacture and supply of kettle safety controls, as well as quite a number of other complementary water temperature management components, appliances and water filtration products. Our core product range really comprises a variety of controls primarily used in kettles. These require precision engineering and an intricate knowledge of material properties. And we've built up a market-leading capability and know-how in this field since we founded back in 1982. Providing safe and reliable controls to OEMs, brands and retailers all over the world. Over 90% of kettles are actually manufactured in China today, but we work in other countries, Turkey, Malaysia, in parts of Eastern Europe as well. So yeah, there are many different areas where we work.
Yeah. Got it. So, and this has been the root of the business, but you're hinting at other different things, not just kettles. I think I can make other things out. So just give us a little bit more of a sense of the range before we dig into it.
So the rest of the range of kettles obviously was the core of the business, and that's really where the business was founded. It still is the majority of the business today. But as we go forward, looking at our growth plans, we're moving very strongly into water filtration and also into some of the small domestic appliances, particularly where it involves the heating of water or the boiling of water.
But actually, why not let's just share some of the numbers, because the penetration of your devices is really quite impressive.
Well, it's probably, our controls are actually estimated to be used more than 1.2 billion times per day by consumers, and that's in more than 100 countries and by over 10% of the world's population. And here in the UK, it's estimated that more than 70% of people in the UK use a Strix product every day, and we have a 55% global value share of the kettle control market.
I think it should be a source of huge pride that here's a great British company powering, quite literally, those devices all around the world. I mean, you must reflect on that as a source of real company pride.
It is, and I think that is definitely a feeling for the people working within Strix. It's a very, very strong commitment from all of our staff. We have some tremendous partners around the world. We work with over 200 OEMs in China, and we're working with over 450 brands and retailers around the world. As
Chief Exec, what do you think have been the sort of pivotal sort of moments in the growth journey since you took the helm?
I think probably the most defining moment since I've been sort of at the helm here since sort of 2015 was listing on AIM back in August 2017. That really was a significant change for the business. We re-established the head office back here on the Isle of Man, and really has provided us great flexibility to realise the full potential of our products, but also allow our team, our incredible team across the world, to be able to reach that full potential. I think following that listing on AIM, we have since made 2 acquisitions, strengthening our water filtration and appliance categories, and really providing a strong platform of innovation and growth for the future. Last year, during the Capital Markets Day, we actually declared to the market our intent to double our revenues over the next 5 years, primarily through the organic growth. I think since listing, our market cap has risen from 190 million to today around 780 million. But in truth, we're really just at the start of our growth journey.
This great British company is partnering and taking on some of these global giants. I wonder, it's a bit simple to say, is there a secret to that success? But what do you think's at the core of it? Because it is genuinely remarkable.
It's an exceptional company, there's no question about that. And I think there's been a lot of work done over the history of the company, where it was built up. The relationships we have with the brands and the OEMs is a key part of our success, without any question. We rely very heavily on our engineering capabilities and introductions of IP on any of the new products we're bringing. that really has sort of protected the business from the outset. I think, as we go further forward, a lot of those innovations are now moving to adjacent markets, which is allowing us to secure that growth that we plan for the next 5 years.
One of the watchwords, and you've used it already, I guess, is around partnership. So for a company like Strix, how do you think the company approached that to make choices?
The partnership strategy really does go right back to the roots of the business. And the roots go back to the 1950s. In fact, Strix itself was founded in 1982. I mean, historically, we worked primarily with Western brands. I mean, that's where all the products were made. They built their products in the West, but we could see the cost pressures building, and we were one of the first companies to go and set up in Asia, first in Hong Kong and then over in China. We worked really closely with the local manufacturers of kettles in China at that time, helping them to build products, really trying to incorporate our controls, but also put different tools and knowledge that would allow them to be able to make products that were of a suitable quality for the Western world. I mean, this involved a wide range of services, with our staff often working in those China factories. And once that was achieved, we then worked with the brands and the retailers all over the world, in fact, to move tools and develop products in the East. Again, building an exceptional relationship and partnerships, both with brands and with OEMs. As I say, we now work with over 450 brands and retailers around the world and provide services across the complete value chain.
I think that for a lot of people tuning in, China represents such a huge opportunity, but also comes with a sense of trepidation. Is there a lesson that you've learned as a company from working with such a huge market? I mean, hard to generalize, but I wonder what comes back to your mind.
In the early days, it was quite forward thinking actually to move the factories over into China, because at that point the kettle market in China was extremely small. Today it is the largest market in the world for kettles, and it's also one of the fastest growing markets in the world for kettles, so clearly a very good place to have your manufacturing site. Today, as I said, over 90% of kettles are actually manufactured in China, so again you have to be in China if you're actually involved in the manufacture of kettles. But I think key for us is the relationships we built up, and we've now actually really become the consultants to the industries.
How about particularly this last 12 to 18 months? Businesses have faced huge challenges. On the one hand, Brexit, you've had the COVID-19 pandemic. What lessons have you learnt as a leader through that? Because there was a huge amount of uncertainty.
I think, for me, the greatest lesson is around the people inside the organisation. Our teams, both in China and across the world, have reacted really swiftly to any challenges they've had. Clearly, we've got new norms in the marketplace, and they've adapted very, very well to those new norms, making sure that the business has continuity throughout.
All of this is happening within a time of not insignificant geopolitical challenges between the UK, many countries around the world, including China. And I just wonder to what extent you feel insulated from that. Are there lessons you've learnt about navigating through that?
Yeah, and we've been in China now for more than 20 years. So we have very, very close ties with the China government, as we do here on the Isle of Man. And to be fair, they have been very supportive. We've literally just finished building a new factory over there. And the Chinese government have bent over backwards to make sure that we can get the right land and the right facilities for our staff over there. So all that time they've been very good. We've had our challenges. In the early days, we had to take quite a lot of IP actions in China. And we were one of the first Western companies, in fact, to take actions against some of the China suppliers. And that was going back to 2010, where we successfully won those cases. But in all those cases, we've had support from the China government. Obviously there is a lot of concerns, but as I said before, China really is producing over 90% of the products that are being sold in our industry sector. So we have to work with China, and as I say, they've been very supportive to date.
Thank you, Mark. How about looking forward now, the top challenges that you face as a business, just going into this next 6 and 12 months?
The top challenges over the next year or so, really, supply chain management certainly is one on the logistics side. We need to make sure we've got adequate stock to overcome any potential disruptions. I think, integration of our acquisitions. We bought Leica during a pandemic, which was quite an interesting experience. Obviously, we want to expedite and maximise those synergies and opportunities, so that's something that is always challenging in an environment where you can't travel so much. And then I think launch of new products is also a challenge, because in the current environment, a lot of those retailers really are not bringing in new products. So we want to make sure we can optimise the launch of all the new developments that we've been making over the last 18 months.
I think you hinted there, Mark, an acquisition over the last 12 months. Any lesson you took from that? It's a subject that certainly gets conversation going among the chief execs we interview on this series.
We've done 2 acquisitions since we listed. First one was a US company, and that was relatively straightforward because it was outside the pandemic. The second one we did was a company in Italy, which was done very much throughout the pandemic. Yeah, that's been a fantastic acquisition. It fits perfectly with our strategic plan. So, there's good acquisitions out there if you're prepared to sort of look carefully and spend the time to make sure you've got the right acquisition.
Just thinking about those supply chains and some of the stresses that they might have been under, just a very brief word, if you wouldn't mind, just on Brexit, a reflection, how it impacted the business.
Brexit is quite interesting for Strix because actually most of our interactions are between the Isle of Man and China, so we don't get very heavily involved with interactions in Europe. The only exception to that is our water filtration business, the Aqua Optima, which certainly did have some impact in those early days, particularly with the transportation between the UK and Europe and all of the sort of the logistics issues there. Going forward, actually, it's proven that the acquisition of Leica was absolutely perfect timing for us because we now have a manufacturing base in Italy where we can actually store products and actually sell from Italy to Europe as well. So those Brexit issues really have diminished since we made the acquisition of Leica.
Now, Mark, you can't continue to be a leader as you have been at Strix without being a highly innovative company. So just give us a glimpse of the innovation that happens, what you're allowed to say, because these are devices that are in, literally millions and millions of homes. So what would you share?
I think we are a very innovative company. I mean that sort of goes right back to the roots of the organisation. The founders certainly came up with some very simple but yet very effective devices. I mean the control we use in a kettle is effectively a mechanical switch, albeit a very, very complex mechanical switch. And there was a lot of IP around that to make sure that it could not be copied. And any alternative techniques are actually quite expensive to produce. I mean, since then, we've continued to carry on, the sort of innovation side of our business. We constantly are putting, different IP out there as well. And I think we are starting to move into adjacent technologies now. So we are looking at heating systems, for instance, anything that really has, the sort of traits of heating, boiling of water, management of steam in an electrical environment. All those things are areas of our expertise, and that really is the sort of focus we have going forward.
Yeah, and now we hear, particularly in sort of digital conversations, about this sort of Internet of Things. Will kettles all be connected in the future? What does the future of the kettle look like? Because it's closer to home than we might care to admit, right?
It's changing. It is definitely changing. There are electronic kettles now that will give you, all sorts of different temperatures for different types of teas and coffees and so on, and we produce all of those today. You're also now getting standalone devices, one of which we manufacture ourselves, which will give you chilled water and boiled water in the same device. Again, we're involved in all of those technologies, and we are actually actively sort of moving into those areas to expand our businesses as well. But the standard kettle is here for a long time to come. I often get asked that question. Only around 40% of households around the world today actually have an electric kettle. In the UK, it's a standard piece of equipment, isn't it? It's something you're always going to have in your kitchen, and you use it many, many times during the day. But in some countries, places like China, for instance, quite often it's used to actually provide pure drinking water for the family at the start of the day. So, those environments will still need those types of devices. And the kettle actually is a very, very efficient system, and it's also a very cost-effective device.
You've hinted at, water filtration as one example. How do you tread a line as the leader between focus and diversification?
It's something we've been doing for some time, and I think the listing on AIM has just allowed us to do it, faster and probably more effectively than we had been able to do it before. So the kettle controls are very well established in this business. We're continually evolving new controls, giving better specifications and different functions. But also that technology can be used in other devices, whether that be baby formula systems, for instance, or some sort of heating devices. And those are the areas that we sort of moved into on the appliance side. So we are now producing appliances, but we also work with some major brands. Some of the top 5 or 10 brands around the world are using Strix technology inside their products. The water filtration is slightly different. We actually have been looking at water filtration and selling the Aqua product now for over 15 years. So it's not new to the business. What is new is the focus we've applied to it and the applications that we're working with. And obviously the 2 acquisitions have helped us to be able to expand the product portfolio quite significantly.
Can I ask you about a subject which is, I know, close to your heart, around sustainability? You've talked before about it being a cultural issue. Just say a bit about what you mean by that and why it's just so important to you.
Yeah, certainly. I think in hindsight, it would probably be better to be referred to as a cultural imperative rather than a cultural issue. I mean, at Strix, sustainability really does lie at the heart of our culture. It really is sort of how we do things around here, from how we purchase and transport materials to how we recycle and reuse. We consider how we do this in the most sustainable manner. As a business, we are working towards being carbon neutral in 3 years, and every employee knows the part they have to play, which includes sharing their ideas on how to achieve it. Suggestions are captured via a scheme called Think Twice within the business, and those are then put into action. And we've got things ranging from ways of reducing packaging to installing beehives and wildflower areas in the grounds of our head office. So it really is on everybody's mind at this time.
Presumably, you're also having to navigate the challenge that the world changes very quickly, technology is always evolving, and yet there must be an imperative to an extent to design a product which lasts, quotes, forever. And yet, realistically, you need things to evolve, you need things to move on. The reality is devices move on, people change their appliances.
They do, and I think what is happening within our industry sector is certainly you're seeing kettles change. More and more people are moving to things like electronic kettles, which probably they do have more functionality, so therefore they are probably going to be kept slightly longer. I mean, in truth, we've always tried to work on the basis that our controls will last between sort of 7 to 10 years. So, from us, making sure that those products are safe and don't need to be replaced. But you're absolutely right, people do like to replace their products. They'll change their kitchen, for instance, and they'll want a different appliance in there as well. So very hard to do anything to change that. What we do is a lot of work to try and reduce the amount of energy being used in these types of appliances, and really just trying to reduce the impact of those types of products on the environment.
Yeah, and can I pick up on that word impact, particularly in terms of how you report? I mean, you've delivered another fantastic set of results this year. Sometimes the reporting on impact can be seen as quite a vague thing, difficult to pin down, and I suspect you've got quite a clear view on this.
Yeah, we do have a dedicated report that's sort of available on our website that really does report all of our sustainability commitments in the past. I mean, I'll be honest, historically that was much more around the products themselves, the ESG, if you like. I mean, we have a really strong product portfolio. We cover everything from reducing energy of the small domestic appliances. We reduce the use of single-use plastic bottles through water filtration. We provide safe drinking water for both humans and animals. And we have a range of health and wellness products. So really easily to tick the box on that E part. But we were not very strong at communicating the S&G in the ESG environment. We committed to the market already, that will change, and in September we actually will put out an updated report providing full details of all our activities in those areas, as well as our KPIs for the future. And we are now committed to reach net zero for scope 1 and 2 by the end of 2023, with very minimal carbon offsetting included within that.
I mean, clearly, Strix has got to have its finger on the pulse of how consumer markets are changing, how retail markets are changing. So give us your sense of what those changes are and are likely to be, particularly over the next few years, because I get the sense that these, in some cases, are moving very fast.
They are, and obviously during the last sort of 18 months, we've seen some very significant changes with a very big switch to online sales as a result of people not going out. I think all the changes we've seen in the last 18 months are really, really important, and actually there's a lot of learnings to be had from those. But I think as they unfold, we'll start to see the new normal. And without doubt, that's going to bring further and continual change over the sort of the 5-year plan that we have. There's more people working from home without doubt, and I'm sure that's going to continue. Business travel will be reduced significantly from any of the previous norms, and without doubt, we're going to start seeing a shift back to the retail stores. Probably not to the same extent as we had before the lockdowns, but there is going to be a shift back. We're already starting to see that as some of those lockdowns restrictions sort of get relaxed. For Strix, yeah, we are very heavily investing to support our B2C growth for the future, and that's really focused on digital marketing, showcasing our products in appropriate forms for the various sales channels, and really trying to help educate consumers with respect to the benefits of our products, both in terms of safety, but also in sustainability.
Yeah, well, final question, Mark. You've clearly got such a wealth of opportunity ahead. Can you give us a sense about where you plan as a company to invest your time and energy going forward? You've given us a number of clues in this conversation today, but in summary, how would you put it?
I think, yeah, really what I'm going to be doing is looking for further opportunities for the business to build on what is our very, very strong foundations, really to try and enhance that shareholder value. We focus on building and driving a team that can maximise our organic growth with our innovation, but also I'll be looking for potential acquisitions that will support our vision, which is to establish a world-leading, innovative and sustainable technology business.
Yeah, a hugely successful company on a fascinating journey. Mark, Chief Exec of Strix, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks very much, Oli.